Hello everyone, so we are back with Leetcode daily challenge. In today's problem we are going to solve count the hidden sequences. So let us try to first understand the problem. So we are given a zero indexed array of n integers. So these integers will be the differences of two consecutive pairs of an hidden sequence of length n plus 1, right? So let us assume this hidden sequence is called hidden. Then we have that differences of I will be hidden of I plus 1 minus hidden of I, right? Also we are given some upper and lower limit. So this upper and lower limit will be for the sequences for the each number of the sequence, right? So for example, here in this example we are having a differences array of 1 minus 3 and 4, and the lower limit is 1 and the upper limit is 6. So these are the possible two sequences which will give this difference. So you can say 3 and 4 the difference is 1, 4 and 1 the difference is minus 3. Similarly for 1 and 5 the difference is 4, right? But this is not possible because the differences will not equals to this difference array, right? So what we need to do, we need to return the possible number of sequences having this difference and this lower limit and this upper limit. So let us try to understand the example. So the example is 1 minus 3 4. So 1 minus 3 and 4, the lower limit is 1 and the upper limit is 6. So keep in mind this lower and upper limit is for the number of the sequences, for the numbers in the sequences, right? So we have this difference array and we have this like lower and upper limit. Then what are the possible solution we can have? We can have 3 4 1 5. Let me write it down: 3 4 1 5 and 4 5 2 6, right? So we have 3 4 1 5 and 4 5 2 6. You can see the difference of 3 and 4 is 1, 4 and 1 is minus 3, 1 and 5 is 4. Similarly for 4 and 5 is 1, 5 and 2 is minus 3. So the possible answer is 2. There can be two sequences. So how can we move forward with this problem, right? So for any number, let us assume that we start with number x. We have a difference array which is having d1, d2, d3, right? So what we need to do, if we start with any number x, then what is the next number? It is x plus d1. What is the other number? X plus d2. What is the other number? Sorry, not x plus d2. It will be the another number will be you can see this number. So x plus d1, so another number will be, let x plus d1 plus d2, right? Similarly, so in this way we can get the sequence, right? So this is our sequence. Now what we need to keep in mind, we need to keep in mind that each element of our sequence is in the limit of some lower we are given and some upper we are given, right, in the question. So the lower should be less than equals to, like, all the elements should be greater than equals to the lower limit x comma x plus d1 comma x plus d1 plus d2, right? It should be less than equals to the upper. So for any x, let us assume for any x, what is the range of number we are getting? So the range of number we are getting will be given by normal d1, then we are adding d1 plus d2, then we are adding d1 plus d2 plus d3. So when we adding this delta 1, delta 2, delta 3, we are getting some delta, right? If we add this number to x. So what is our solution here? So this delta 1, like when we add this number to x plus delta n, so this x plus delta n should be like in range, our range, upper range. So what we need to do, we need to find out this delta 1, delta 2, delta 3, and we will add it with x, and if we check if all the numbers of this sequence is within our range, then it is a possible answer, right? So let us try to understand by this example. So for example, here the possible answers start with 3 and 4, right? But let us assume that we start with 1, because 1 is in our range, right? Lower range and upper range. So if we start with 1, the next element will be 1 plus 1, that is 2. The next element will be 2 minus 3, that is minus 1, and the next element will be minus 1 plus 4, which is 3, right? So this is our possible sequence if we start with 1. But you can see here minus 1 is not in our range, right? Here minus 1 is not in our range. So how can we check it? So what we need to do, we need to find the deltas. So how can we find the deltas? We need to just sum up the differences, consecutive differences. So if we add 1, then 1 minus 3, that is minus 2, and minus 2 plus 4, which is 2. So this is the delta 1, delta 2 and delta 3 we are getting. You can verify it from here. So the next element is is 1. The next element is 1 greater than 1. The next element will be minus 2 greater than 1. Similarly, right? So what we need to do, we need to check whether our deltas, when we add with the x plus delta n, is in our range or not, right? So we have to find the lowest delta, and we have to find the highest delta in this delta array. You got the point, right? So we need to find the lowest delta and we need to find the highest delta. If we find the lowest delta, which is minus 2 here, and the highest delta, which is plus 2, and if we add it with x, then we will get the lowest possible number and the highest possible number. So let us try to sum up the algorithm. So first what we need to do, we need to find delta 1, delta 2, delta 3, delta n. So if we start with any number x, then x plus delta n. So x plus delta n should be in our range of upper, and it should be greater than equals to the lower, right? So this x plus delta n, so what we need to find, so to validate whether a sequence is in our possible answer is not, we have to find the lowest, delta lowest, and we have to find the delta highest. So that can be done by sum up of the differences, When we sum up the differences, the lowest number will be the lowest delta, and the highest number equals to corresponding to the highest delta. And when we'll add x plus delta lowest, it should be greater than lower range, greater than equals to. Similarly, x plus delta higher, it should be greater than the range, and it should be less than the upper limit. So if this can be done, we can easily find out what is the possible sequences. So what is the x here? X is the any number from between lowest range to upper range. So we can start with 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 5, then 6. So we will iterate for each number between the lower limit to upper limit. We will try to add that number, the delta of differences we are having, and if it is in our range, then we will increment the counter. If it is not, then we will just skip the to next iteration of the for loop, right? So let us go to the Leetcode and try to solve this out. So what we have to do, we have to find out the delta, right? So we will take for the lowest delta, let's take del min. So del min equals to minimum delta, so that will be the int max. Initially it will be set to int max. Then we will take similarly del max delta, so it will be set to int min, right? So what we will do now, we will iterate for the differences array in I equals to 0, I less than differences, the size I plus plus, right? So what we need to do, so we have to sum up the array. So what we need to do, we have to take some integer sum equals to 0. So this is the sum of the differences. So if sum, okay, So what we need to do, we need to first sum plus equals to sum plus equals to differences of I. So we are adding the sum and we are checking if sum is less than del min, then what we need to do, we need to set the del min equals to sum. Similarly, if sum is greater than del max, then we will setting the del max as sum, right? And now we are having the delta minimum and delta maximum. Now what we need to do, we need to iterate for each number in the lower limit to upper limit. So for int I equals to lower, I less than equals to upper, this is inclusive, and I plus plus, we need to check whether if like our x is I plus the lower limit del min is less than equals to I plus del min should be greater than equals to the lower limit, and I plus del max, it should be less than equals to the upper limit. So if we are getting this, then we have to increment our counter. So let's add another result or counter variable, int counter equals to 0. So this will give the return number of possible sequences. We need to just return the counter, right? So if we try to run this code, okay, so there is differences, n is missing, sorry. Again I have missed the name. I think it is fine now. Yeah, so if we try to submit this code, yeah, so you can see there is some space limit exceeded, runtime error, signed integer overflow is happening because the number possible, each value of differences can be like 10 to the power 5, right? So what we need to do, we have to somehow like change it from integer to long. If we do it and try to submit it, it's fine, right? So this is the possible solution. And what is the time complexity for this solution? So what we are doing, we are iterating over the differences array. So iterating over the differences array, so it is order of n, and then we are also iterating order of n is the lower to higher range. So lower to higher range, so overall time complexity, since these are not in, they are in parallel, so overall time complexity is order of n. What is the space complexity? So the space complexity is, we are using an integer like long to store the sum of the differences, right? So yeah, this is the solution. Thank you.